What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Bull Mind Academy, where we build wealth step by step with the mindset of a winner. Today's video is special because I'm going to answer a powerful question. If I lost everything today, every dollar, every investment, what portfolio would I rebuild from scratch? This is not financial advice. This is education, mindset, and strategy. A blueprint anyone can learn from. Let's begin. Imagine waking up tomorrow with zero, no savings, no stocks, no assets, just your mind, and the discipline to rebuild. The question is, where do you start? What stocks do you pick? How do you balance safety and growth? How do you create a portfolio that survives a NY market chaos? Today, I'll walk you through the exact portfolio I'd build if I had to start all over again from the ground up. Before chasing big returns, you need a foundation. If I were rebuilding from zero, the first part of my portfolio would be stability. The first thing I'd do is put a large portion, about 40%, into a broad market index fund. I'm talking about an ETF that spreads risk across hundreds of strong companies. Why? Because if you're restarting, you can't afford big mistakes. You want slow, steady growth that compounds for decades. A broad index gives you diversification, lower risk, and exposure to the entire economy. It ensures the automatic winners rise to the top of your portfolio without you having to pick them. This is the bedrock, the sleep well at night portion of your investment journey. It's what you build everything else on top of. Once that foundation is built, now we add acceleration. The next 25% of my portfolio would go into a technology and innovation ETF. This includes sectors like AI, cloud computing, software, robotics, and semiconductors. If I had to rebuild, I would want exposure to the future economy, not just today's economy. Tech grows fast, but it's also volatile. That's why it's not the foundation, but the engine that drives your portfolio forward. Why does tech belong here? Because in the long run, innovation always wins. Companies solving new problems and creating new markets tend to outperform traditional industries over time. This slice of the pie is your bet on the future, and is a crucial component for generating substantial growth. This next section is where things get really exciting. These are the wealth multipliers. 20% of the portfolio would be allocated to high-growth individual stocks. This is the opportunity bucket. If I lost everything, I'd want a portion of my portfolio aimed at potentially high-return companies. These might be businesses in groundbreaking fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, biotechnology, EV and battery tech, clean energy, or fintech. Now, this is not where you put your rent money. This is where you put money you can leave untouched for years, allowing it to grow. Why include this riskier component? Because a single strong growth stock can completely change your entire portfolio's trajectory over the long term. This is where you have the chance to capture explosive gains. Now, if I'm rebuilding from zero, I absolutely must protect myself from volatility and downward markets. That's why the next 10% of my portfolio would go into defensive and dividend stocks. This is the risk management layer. These are companies that tend to stay strong even when the economy weakens. Think of industries like utilities, healthcare, consumer staples, and telecommunications. People need these services no matter what the market is doing. These stocks provide stability, consistent dividends that you can reinvest, and lower volatility compared to growth stocks. Why are they so important? Because when your high-growth stocks inevitably fall, these defensive stocks can cushion the blow. This gives the entire portfolio balance and resilience, helping you stay the course during tough times. The final piece of the portfolio puzzle is global exposure. The last 5% would be invested in an international ETF. If I lost everything, I wouldn't rebuild a portfolio tied only to one country. That's a huge unforced error. Different nations and economies grow at different times. Sometimes the US market is booming, and other times emerging markets are the ones taking the lead. By adding global exposure, you reduce your risk and expand your opportunity set. Even a small 5% allocation can significantly strengthen the entire portfolio, making it more robust and prepared for whatever the global economy throws at it. Don't limit your potential to just one country's market. Let's talk mindset, because losing everything isn't just a financial event. It's an emotional one. If I was starting over, there are a few core principles I'd constantly remind myself of. First, you don't need to win fast. You need to win consistently. Most people fail because they get greedy and chase quick, unrealistic profits. Second, wealth is built by habits, not by hype. Setting up automatic investing is far more powerful than trying to time the market based on emotions. Third, the portfolio you can actually stick with is always better than the one you abandon when things get tough. Consistency beats perfection every single time. And finally, remember that your mind is your greatest asset. Even if you lose money, your knowledge and your discipline stay with you. That's why this channel is called Bull Mind Academy, because wealth starts with the right mindset. So to recap, if I lost everything tomorrow, here's the exact portfolio I would rebuild. 40% in a broad market index fund for a solid foundation. 25% in a technology and innovation ETF to act as the growth engine. 20% in high-growth individual stocks for those potential wealth multipliers. 10% in defensive and dividend stocks for stability and risk management. And finally, 5% in an international fund for global exposure. This strategy gives you stability, growth, opportunity, protection, and diversification. It's a balanced, realistic portfolio that anyone can learn from and adapt to their own goals. If you found this valuable, hit that like button. It really helps the channel a lot. Subscribe to Bull Mind Academy for weekly videos on investing, wealth building, and the mindset of long-term success. And before you go, comment below. What would you invest in if you had to start from zero? I'd love to read your ideas. Thanks for watching. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and as always, stay bullish. See you in the next video.